Come on, let's do it.
I haven't seen her for 5 years. Can we also your part of your yeah, right. Also Erasmus coordinator of the faculty. So let's see what we can do.
Ja, ma non mi fa la Ja, doch.
Ja, jaz sem si lahko daš pa tukaj zraven mojega. Nekaj si načtim, ja, jaz sem barem.
Moja ruba.
Ja, tako jaz moram veš kaj, jaz nem pa tukaj. Se polniti za zdaj, pa moram iti pregledati.
Turbulentna vremena.
Hello.
Če imaš to njih, bom našla izpišnjo. Nimam, ja nimam to. Pa še imaš. Če se nekaj vzakam, če imaš vedela flight mode konferenca, špart. Ja, bom dala.
Meni nisem govorila, tako da. Se bi se doma rekel, da lažje začnemo, da ne vem. Spoštovane gospe, cenjeni gospodje, zlasti pa spoštovane študentke in dragi študentje. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear students, I am delighted to warmly greet you today on behalf of the Faculty of Design here in Ljubljana, Slovenia, on the occasion of the 8th International Scientific Conference, A.L.I.C.E. Which day is today? 1. April is the 1st of April, April Fools, so it is called in English. And this day is an annual custom on 1st April consisting on practical jokes. Jokesters, so the people who tell jokes, expose their actions by shouting April Fools at the recipient. In Slovenia we say 1. April, and we like to joke as well. However, we are not joking if we say, be welcome on the 8th International Scientific Conference A.L.I.C.E., which continues its tradition of fostering a multidisciplinary dialogue that bridges design, innovation, and social impact. This year's theme is Designing a Sustainable Future, Society 5.0 and Global Innovation. The words are very important to me since I'm dealing with words, with the concepts marked by words. And the words of this year's conference are pressing challenges of our time, sustainable design, climate-resilient solutions, inclusive, equitable, and responsible world, educational innovation, and the main concept, design for society. Ladies and gentlemen, drage gospe in dragi gospodje, študentke, študenti, I am happy to meet you all here. Not saying 1. April, April Fools, and I'm giving you an opening speech, which will be delivered by Acting Dean of the Faculty of Design, Professor Nada Rožmanec-Matičič. Draga dekanja, bodite dobrodošli.
Lepo pozdravljeni, spoštovani gosti, spoštovani profesorji, direktorji, predsednik EMUNI univerze, študenti in študentke. It's my great pleasure to welcome you on GoinGreenGlobal Design Week, a celebration of sustainable innovation, creativity, and collaboration. Together with University of EMUNI, with Design Management Slovenia, it is a competence center for Design Management 4.0. With Mestna hiša Ljubljana, our major, Mr. Zoran Janković, has celebrated yesterday and hosted our very nice exhibition of our students and our, of course, green projects made especially for our capital, Ljubljana. So warm welcome, and I will repeat Ljubljana, the green capital of Slovenia, lying on the jewels of Alps mountains and between Adriatic Sea. Warm welcome again, everybody. This year, we are very proud that inside of our Going Green Global Design Week hosts already the eighth scientific international conference, alongside a dynamic and numerous of lectures and workshops, design talks, exhibitions. Of course, everything is dedicated to shape a greener future through design and science. Of course, it doesn't go without industry, because we are here to serve them, to plan our ideas from idea to implementation for the new product, systems and concepts, of course, with high added value. And at the time when our planet demands urgent action, design emerges a powerful tool. About tools and skills we are going to speak today, and with all our challenges of our main theme. But everything is to plan and to build a better world. A better world for all people in the world. You know, now is already time that we have to look what we have done since the goals of Agenda 2030 has been put on the stage. Not only talking about what we are going to do, but what we have done. And what is our mission for the future? This week, I'm so proud of you. We gather brilliant minds from diverse fields to explore sustainable solutions, challenge thinking, and inspire transformation for all these changes which are in front of our doors. Whether if you are here as a researcher, designer, politician, student, your participation is crucial in driving this global movement forward. Through insightful discussions and hands-on workshops, we will push the boundaries of eco-conscious design, of course, with all new technologies which are in front of you, with all tools of artificial intelligence, but I am asking you that this is not the main goal. We have to think with our soul, with our minds, with our brain, with our heart. I'm looking forward very much to put all these things on the table today in all our next events, and to say that together we are not just designing products and systems, but we are planning a sustainable future. So let's make the most of this week. Let's question, create. You should design thinking, collaborate, and of course, we all have to think out of the box. It is our mission, these are our wishes, and I hope for all of us, these are our dreams. Welcome to Going Green Global Design Week and on our 8th International A.L.I.C.E conference. Thank you all for coming, all distinguished guests, and I wish you a very wonderful day with us. Thank you so much.
Najlepša hvala. Thank you so very much for your heartwarming words. And I will just continuing with my obsession with words, although we had heard that the actions are important. But anyway, thank you for your words, like tools, skills, mission for the future, better world for all of us, for all people. Thank you again. And now we shall hear, after this opening speech, we shall hear an honorable speech, which will be delivered by Emeritus Professor Rado Bohinc, PhD, President of EMUNI University from Slovenia. Professor, be welcome, bodite dobrodošli, izvolite.
Good morning, everybody. It is really a pleasure to be with you here today. Dober dan vsem skupaj. Govoril bom tako, kot mislim, in ne tako, kot bi se morda spodobilo za 1. april. I'm not going to joke today with you, unless it's 1st of April. I would like to share with you some reflections referring to phenomena that you are using every day, almost every minute. I will focus with you today to an issue called artificial intelligence. But before coming to this, let me say my intention is to motivate you, to stimulate you to think about these issues. It is not something that can just go like this. We have to think, what are we doing and what are somebody doing with us? Before I move to these matters, I would really like to welcome you on behalf of EMUNI University. It is your Mediterranean University. It is a network of more than 150 universities from south and north of Mediterranean, from east and west of Mediterranean. The basic mission of this university is to bridge by higher education the coasts of Mediterranean, meaning to support knowledge exchange, knowledge flows, and to foster intercultural dialogue. And our basic values would be excellence, relevance, and sustainability. However, sustainability in the broader sense, focusing on people, on humans, and of course on planet, climate, and ecological issues. Okay, let me move now to my central topic. As you all know, digitalization of the global economy has profound impact on the international economic landscape and on mankind as well. New phenomena are influencing business models, online platforms, social media, blockchain, big data, online service provider, and so on and so on. Digitalization has a significant role in developing workplaces. It can affect production, distribution. It has driven innovation in all sectors, and it has contributed to transformation of traditional industries. Imperative here is to quickly acquire new digital skills. Artificial intelligence enables entirely new forms of creative expression. It is a powerful tool, but it also raises questions about the value of human creativity. AI-generated content can sometimes lack the depth of human creativity. AI helps identify environmentally friendly materials and processes, reduce waste and energy consumption. It can suggest more sustainable alternatives in materials that still meet the requirements of design and efficiency. Digital transformation is very strong, and especially artificial intelligence impacts humanity. The impact is substantial and yet not understood. The responsibility of the scientific community is to cope with this phenomenon, to cope with societal consequences of digitalization and artificial intelligence, with potential effect on human lives. Today's social sciences should be increasingly concerned with researching how the rapid digital development like ICT and AI affects humans, their position and behavior in society, and how it changes the values and attitudes that has developed so far in the present civilization. Science must face with the societal consequences of scientific achievements in the field of technology. Even more because digital technology development is outpacing social development. The regulation of new social relations is lagging behind. That is why it is even more important that development of digital technology is so-called human-centered, driven at the service of humans, based on human cognitive abilities, and that follows the starting points of humanism, human rights, and social welfare. Unfortunately, in nowadays world, neoliberal world, it is not the case. Technology development is profit-driven, more or less. So greater economic efficiency and greater profit is the main objective. What is human-centered approach to artificial intelligence? Human-centered approach should improve human performance in ways that are reliable, safe, and trustworthy, compatible with human values, that protect human safety and assure human agency. To accomplish this vision, artificial intelligence should promote human well-being by supporting human cognitive capacities, emotions, privacy, and prevent negative side effects, being inclusive, transparent, and accountable. Artificial intelligence should be subject to appropriate governance, oversight, and responsibility. The protection of digital rights and the principles is more and more important. Namely, the development of digital technology must be human-oriented, what means that the fundamental goals of digital transition, including artificial intelligence, cannot be just economically driven. The objective cannot be just economic effect and profit, but primarily it should benefit people, community, and sustainable development. It is crucial that rapidly growing digitalization is closely monitored and comprehensively supported by legal regulation. Human-centered approach to digital transition, as it was said, aims to human well-being, meaning to develop digital technology towards people because of their needs, because of their more efficient, easier, and faster performance of various tasks. Therefore, to the benefit of people, not simply because of faster economic growth and profit. What I have just said is the European Union vision, however, far from being implemented. That's why it is important to repeat these words and to reflect about this daily. And coming to an end, maybe you will disagree, but I will say that artificial intelligence is not a thinking, a creative machine, but only high performance data analysis and computing. AI is most advanced achievement of digital technologies development. Creativity, design that includes emotions, passion, and human judgment are component of intelligence of human mind in the general sense that artificial intelligence do not possess. The term artificial intelligence should be therefore understood as a popular term, not as scientifically accurate. And after all, artificial intelligence is not replacing creativity. AI has a transformative role in the creative industry, offering tools that enhance, automate, and inspire various creative fields, enhancing and expanding ways in which creators work, allowing creators to automate tasks and collaborate in different innovative ways. However, it is crucial that the creative community balance between human intuition on one side and artificial intelligence's capabilities, ensuring that technology is used responsibly and ethically. Thank you for your attention.
Hvala lepa. Thank you. And thank you for your question. In the beginning of your speech, you said, what are they doing with us? We should think about this issue. Thank you, you are right. And now we shall hear some more inspiring words, which will be delivered by Veronika Gruden-Bolle, Vice Dean for Quality Assurance and Social Responsibility, Faculty of Design, Slovenia. And Veronika is here, and we're happy to see her and to hear her words. Prosim, Veronika. Hvala lepa.
Thank you, Blažka, for the intro. Hi to you all. I am pleased and honored to be part of 8th A.L.I.C.E conference. Sorry, Domen. Okay, now you hear me. And I have also the honor today. We heard a lot about skills, competencies already, and thank you to Nada, thank you, Professor Buchins, for such an inspiring forward. I have the pleasure today to introduce you to initiatives launched by European Commission, and that would be initiatives Pact for Skills, and the other one would be Creative Pact for Skills, and I will try to enlighten a bit the role of Faculty of Design in those platforms or initiatives, as already said. So I know that we are packed. The program is totally packed. I have prepared a few slides. I will just try to breeze through them. And I think that we will have time for discussion later on. So yeah. First slide would be what is actually Pact for Skills, because we know the skills are important, and in recent years there's a lot of discussions going on around European Union, also in Slovenia, around major stakeholders about reskilling and upskilling of the workforce. We know that large and small companies, they need skilled workers in order to stay innovative, in order to grow, to stay competitive in these challenging times. So here actually Pact for Skills comes in because European Commission was thinking about how to propose affordable and inclusive and initiatives or reskilling and upskilling programs to the companies, to the businesses, and Pact for Skills was just the answer for that. So Pact for Skills, it's actually a flagship initiative, and under Pact for Skills, we can then find also Creative Pact for Skills, which I will speak about that in a second. So Pact for Skills was launched in November 2020. Then we know COVID hits, and Faculty of Design joined the Pact at the end of 2022, beginning of 23. Nevertheless, the Pact mobilized a lot of relevant stakeholders from industries, from national governments, from public institutions, non-governmental institutions, businesses, companies, and etc. So, and it was kind of invitation to invest in upskilling and reskilling of the workforce. So that was the major aim or goal of the Pact for Skills. And actually, it encouraged the creation of large-scale partnerships, which Creative Pact for Skills would be, to address also sector-specific skills needs, especially in the fields of green and digital transitions. We heard something about that previously. If one would like to join the Pact for Skills, you would need to endorse or sign a charter. You can find the charter also on their website. I'm not proposing anything, but if you would be interested to gain more information, the charter is available on their website. And for us, for Faculty of Design, that was an easy task because we already have all the key principles implemented in our strategic program. So was actually a super great thing for us, and we had no problems with the signing of the charter. So, and now what is actually Creative Pact for Skills? As I said previously, that Pact for Skills also encouraged the sector-specific initiatives, and that was actually it. We all know that after pandemic, the cultural and creative sector was sort of showed their vulnerability, and the cultural and creative industries, although they are employing around 8 million workers throughout 1.2 million enterprises, those enterprises are actually more or less micro or small, or they are even one-person company. It's a selbstständig, yeah. Okay, and they are characterized as highly educated, and they are increasingly diverse. A high percentage of women are involved in this cultural and creative industries. So when pandemic actually was over, the European stakeholders were thinking about support to cultural and creative industries with, as I said before, investing in their upskilling and reskilling to empower them with more competencies, with more skills, and that was the initiative. Although the specific of this Creative Pact for Skills initiative was that this was initiative coming from bottom up, so it was actually the cultural and creative industries themselves who wanted to have these measures taken from European Commission. I will not go through that. You can just read that through the slide. But and of course, if you're interested in more information again, they are on their website, so you can find the info there. Again, this initiative is quite similar to Pact for Skills initiative. Again, you have to endorse, as a member, you have to endorse the manifesto. It is an easy thing to do. It's available on their website. You can sign that digitally. Manifesto outlines 6 action points, and it's about a common vision for upskilling and reskilling in the CCI sector. So it's actually, again, a document and endorsement by institutions. Again, we have endorsed this manifesto. It just demonstrates the commitment to these shared goals to that. And now we come to working groups. Faculty of Design is part of the working group for skills for green transformation, although we are also kind of observers in a micro-credentials working group. Working groups were established to improve coordination and to make discussions a little bit easier and to promote the ideas a bit quicker. So at the end of 2024, there were 6 active working groups. Each working group has their own coordinator. We have our meetings and so on. So we are discussing possible options. What we do right now is that we are in the middle of mapping of stakeholders. So we try to identify good practices. We try to identify the good projects related to green skills, of course, as we are a working group on green transformation. Besides that, we are working on promotion and on dissemination of our tasks. I will skip that because I don't want to be too long. The working group mainly addresses, and this is what is actually bold in red, so mainly addresses the need for green competencies within cultural and creative industries in this, let's say, green, sustainable areas. We have adopted our working plan for a 2-year period. That would be a sort of document we have all agreed upon, and our coordinator is actually, which is Matera Hub, is actually doing on the improvements and looking for the implementation of all the tasks. And we are helping, of course, here. So what would be the role of Faculty of Design? We have already now achieving our, how should I say, measure or task again with this conference, which would be mainly about Society 5.0, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to your contributions. Again, I want to emphasize that we are, of course, very strong in the field of pedagogical work, artistic work, and scientific work. But sometimes it's important to know that we are doing also a great job in the field of ensuring the future-proof graduates who will be able to do their careers or make their careers possible in this challenging world. And we are achieving quite good results here with all the projects we are involved into, like participating in Durba 4.0 project. You can find some info outside. We are developing different lifelong learning projects and just waiting for the legislation on micro-credentials. So I think we are actually on a good path to achieve all our strategic goals and to be able to have a really significant role in this area of green and digital competencies. So the last thing I wanted to emphasize, and this is also a sort of invitation, it's a Creative Skills Week. Creative Skills Week is actually a flagship communication and dissemination event. It was first launched 2 years ago, and it was held in Vienna. Last year was held in Amsterdam, and this year will be in Prague. So welcome. You're not. It's not actually. You don't need to be a part of any of the pact. You just can just come around and see what's going on. It will be a great event with a lot of major stakeholders from cultural and creative industries involved. You can hear some really good practices, like best practices, and there's a lot of knowledge sharing, skills sharing, and etc. So a really nice event, and I'm already looking forward to that. So welcome, and I hope to see you in Prague this year. So of course you will have to find or register it in their website. So we hope to see you there. You can find all the useful links if you want to maybe join the pact. We can discuss all about it later. And I wish you all a nice and successful event today, and all the luck with your presentations. Hope I wasn't too long. So thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.
Hvala lepa, Veronica. Thank you for all your information, and congratulations. The task is quite ambitious. And as you said, we shall start with the event. So we shall start with our morning session, which will be marked by very international character. So we are starting with our colleague from Belgrade. And please, I would like to ask Professor Dragan Čalović from Belgrade, Faculty of Contemporary Arts, to deliver a contribution entitled Creating Values Through Design. It will be very interesting. Thank you, Dragan.
Good morning, everyone. It's always a great pleasure to be with you here in this wonderful city of Ljubljana. So thank you, Nada, very much for inviting me. And my speech will refer to Professor Dean Nada Rosnarec-Matičić and her words that we should think through our hearts and our souls, and also to Professor Emeritus Rado Bohin's speech about artificial intelligence, because I was also thinking to ask that question, how we should use artificial intelligence and how to approach to artificial intelligence in design. So different design approaches assume that ethical values can and should be identified and incorporated early in the design process. This understanding is based on an understanding of the need to develop responsible design. However, although such approaches attribute greater social significance to design than to create some beautiful and functional solutions, for example, they still do not perceive design as one of the central agents of social change. Namely, since the acceptance as well as dissemination of certain principles, including also ethical principles, does not yet mean their shaping, this position excludes design from the confrontation to different interests within which the dominant values system is defined. Design is thus reduced to a means of medium. So we can say that design is marginalized in relation to the acceptance agents of social change. In contrast to this position, we understand design in the sense of its direct participation in the creation of value. So we should think about design not as some medium that spread different values, but as an agent that create values. This understanding finds its support in the understanding of design as a true design, and that only as a form of liberated work. Only when raised above its parasitic existence in politics, just reference to Walter Benjamin, design reach its full form as a manifestation of universal human principles. The fundamental value on which design, understood of course in this way, builds its historical development is freedom. In this sense, it would be appropriate to examine the position of this value in modern design, and especially in the conditions of the perceived technological upheaval initiated by development of artificial intelligence. A significant contribution to understanding of the concept of freedom can be found in the work of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, despite his emphasis on political freedom, which transformed natural freedom into civil freedom, and whose criticism we found in Berlin's Toast, for example. In Rousseau's reflections, the understanding that freedom belongs to the essence of a human being was emphasized. Despite a certain idealistic view of the past, Rousseau develops a strong critique of social development, which by moving away from life itself, necessarily lead to moving away from freedom. If we approach the understanding of the question of freedom in relation to the realization of the authentic self, then its perception remains inseparable from the consideration of freedom of will. Svensson understands freedom of will as a special freedom of action. For him, having free will means having the ability to make decisions. That is, he consists it with having room for maneuver, for action, starting from practical rationality. This further leads us to the question, if design in its conceptual development phase is conditioned by a tool that can offer a draft idea that arises as a result of complex algorithmic models, is such a design based on freedom? That is it able to participate in the critical foundation of the value system, or is it condemned to be to the position of perpetuating ideological assumptions? Although artificial intelligence should be understood as a tool and not as an independent agent of creative action, the range of its performance opens the perspective of the degradation of the creative process, which finds its roots in the laziness of the spirit. The fascination with combinatorial models, which Baudrillard spoke about in the context of the rise of simulacra in modern society, has as one of its consequences a move away from the pure idea of creativity. This started process of destruction of the tissue of authentic self-expression gets its additional inputs from the development of AI tools, but not at the level of technological development itself, but in the strengthening the predisposition of its abuse. Namely, even at the current level of development, the offered performances of artificial intelligence tools can be used as a substitution of human creative potentials, which transforms the very notion of creativity on a conceptual level. The idea of freedom during history becomes the fundamental value on which the realm of art rises, but at the same time value that among other things is affirmed through art. So art should and can be only free. In order to maintain its social transformative potential, design must maintain its artistic status, which in the modern age is shaken above all by the danger of failing into the process of its own simulation. The possibility of such a perspective lies only in preserving the idea development, so early phase of design thinking, the very core of design process as a realm of freedom. The path to such a perspective lies in protecting the conceptualization of the artistic vision from any technological influence, or in other words, from the application of AI tools in this early phase of the development of some artistic ideas. So even though we can use AI tools to develop some projects, we should develop our ideas without using AI. Only by preserving this fundamental value, design can become an agent of establishing an authentic system of values in modern society. Following Kant's ideas, we cannot understand freedom as some kind of unmotivated action, because human actions, as he believed, must be determined by something, and what is determined by is crucial for understanding freedom. Kant presupposes that human as a mental being must be distinguished from other natural beings who act according to the laws, while human according to the representation of the laws. That is according to principles of will, that is according to consciousness. Okay, and as a key condition for the realization of free design or true design, therefore, we can recognize the very possession of consciousness. Only conscious being can thus be given the ability to realize true design solutions. Although we cannot understand this condition as the only one in evaluating the quality of these solutions, we must consider it as a necessary criterion for their identification as a true design. This does not mean that a designer in the process of his or her work cannot use tool or AI tool in order to reach the final goal, but the concept itself must remain protected from any intrusion of these influences that would limit his or her freedom of action. Only on the basis of that freedom, guided by one's free will, it is possible to affirm the designer as an artist who rises to higher levels of consciousness through his or her work, at the same time lightening the way for others in their sensory-mediated mental elevation. Freedom, as a fundamental criterion for defining design as true design, simultaneously becomes a prerequisite for the establishment or development of a value system through design. The foundation of this approach to design is at the same time the foundation of design as an agent of social change. Instead of being a medium for the spread of value, design thus consolidates itself in the position it has always belonged to, that is, a field of free action of consciousness. The central contemporary challenge to this elevation of design does not stand outside the design process itself, but in the tool that provides the possibility of abuse in order to indulge the laziness of the spirit. Design degraded in this way would not only leave the realm of art, but would also lose its power to participate in the development of values, becoming condemned to perpetuate ideas created outside of itself, thus transforming in the final outcome into a mechanism of ideological action. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hvala lepa. Thank you so very much, Dragan. I found it very interesting, this philosophical approach to design, which could be done only through freedom. Wonderful. Thank you. And now we shall hear Assistant Professor Maria Miloševska-Janakijevska, International Balkan University, North Macedonia. We are really glad to see you again, to be with us again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is also a pleasure to be here. So I'm Maria Miloševska-Janakijevska. I'm professor from the Department of Architecture. What happened? It got confused. Okay. Yes, so I'm coming from the International Balkan University from Skopje, Macedonia. And today I have a very interesting paper to present. It is titled Sustainable Design, Urban Beehives as a Tool for Biodiversity on University Campus, which was actually worked as a project at our university from the master students at master level. So I hope it will be an interesting presentation for all of you with some bees on the screen. So as you know, the urbanization has made many changes in the natural ecosystems. Most of them are negative ones, such as habitat loss and declination of the biodiversity and waste, pollution, spending of the natural resources. And the beehives have emerged as one of the solutions to solve this problem. I will present today a project, as I mentioned, which was developed at our International Balkan University. The project is focused on sustainability, biophilic design, innovation, and design for non-human users, which was a bit difficult for us because we are used to design for people, and this was for the bees. And the main objective of this study is to analyze how urban beehives can be effectively integrated in an urban environment. At the beginning, we did a literature review. So beehives support ecosystems and pollinate plants. They pollinate 75% of the flowering plants and 35% of food crops. But we face urban challenges, as I already mentioned, such as limited plants, pollution, waste, fragmented habitats, and so on. And what is needed for the design? Because, as I mentioned, our clients are the bees. We should use natural and local materials, non-threatened, not chemically treated. We should focus on functionality and not aesthetics, which was also a bit difficult, especially for architectural students, because we are interested in the aesthetic as well. And we should consider sunlight, wind, noise, traffic, forage sources. And the innovation is always good if we can combine beehives with some equipment for mutual benefits for people also. The methodology of this study consists from several steps. The first one was analysis of our campus, because that was the location. So we analyzed the position of the campus, the exposure to sunlight, the winds, the traffic, the proximity to forage plants, in order to find the most suitable location for placing the beehives. The second phase was a research of types of beehives. Here you can see in the first row, there are presented traditional beehives, which were mostly used in the past and not so much used nowadays. The second row represents the modern beehives, which is used in the last 200 years. It's very simple design made out of wood, and it's very cheap and gives very good results. And the last row is specialized type of beehives, which are more modern, implementing contemporary technologies such as measuring the temperature, adjusting the humidity, and so on. But the third row is actually a bit more expensive because it implements contemporary technology. And that's why usually the second model is most commonly used, because it's cheap, it's economically viable, and it gives really good results. And most of the beekeepers are implementing the second model of beehives. And in the last 200 years, as it was developed, not so many changes are done in the second model. The third step was actually analyzing the materials. What materials are suitable for the beehives? So bees are actually liking natural materials without any chemical treatments. The favorite is the wood and maybe some metal covering for the upper part. Now I will move on to the design process, and I will present 3 different concepts developed from our students. Because of the time, I chose only 3, although there were more concepts. The first one was developed by our students Rina and Ballerina. They were inspired by the modern beehive as one of the best solutions, but you see there are small changes. They put an opening with glaze, which was in hexagonal shape, so that we can at the same time observe the bees in their working environment. And they placed the beehives in a pavilion, which was also inspired by the hexagonal shape as a symbol of the bees. And they used plants all around the pavilion, which were favorite for the bees, so they could stay there in their environment and not go to the other part of the campus and represent a risk for the students and other users of the campus. The second concept was developed by Edi and Sedat, also our students. They designed 2 separate pavilions. The first one is for the bees, and the second one is for the people. So their idea was to separate bees and people so that bees will not be disturbed. And people can sit in the second pavilion, observe the first pavilion, but not interfere with the bees, and so they can be separated. Here you can see in the first picture the location that is chosen. It's around green area, it is far away from the traffic, it has a perfect sunlight, so that was developed after the analysis of the location. And the last proposal that I chose was developed by our student Aron. It is actually similar to the modern beehives, but with slightly different shape, hexagonal shape. It is actually already existing. It is a United States patent, but the student analyzed it into detail, and he did research on this, and he said that it is also easy for construction and gives really good results. And the location that is chosen is shown on the last picture, also covered with greenery and far away from the buildings of the campus, so that bees will not be disturbed. So at the end, these are the discussion and conclusion points. Regarding the design priorities, as I already mentioned, bees prefer natural materials, simple design, not focusing on aesthetic, but mostly on functionality. The optimal hive placements and site selection includes analysis of sun exposure, low wind areas, proximity to forage plants, and which are also crucial for success. Multifunctional design, where we can combine the beehives with other urban equipment such as pavilions, sitting area, are always welcomed and good idea, because they are increasing the social awareness about this kind of projects. And replicability, this is a very small project, but it could be easily replicated in larger areas. For the future focus, we can propose long-term ecological and social impact studies, where interdisciplinary collaboration from different experts can be joined. At the end, I would like to say thanks to our students. This is actually pictures from one of our classes. We brought the modern beehives in class, and we analyzed how they're connected, how they're functioning. It was very interesting, and students were really having fun during this project. I would also like to thank Professor Manja Kita-Kuzman. She's a professor from Ljubljana, and she's actually successfully implementing beehives in urban environments here in Ljubljana. She gave me the idea, so I just implemented in Macedonia. And Professor Alexander Uzunov, he is a professor from the Faculty of Agricultural Science and Food, and his focus is on bees. His research and articles are on bees, and he really helped us at the beginning of the process, especially in the research part. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so very much. Maria. Let it be, exactly, and let's have fun. Y ahora vamos a México porque está con nosotros una profesora de allí que se llama profesora Liliana Fernanda del Villar Arias, que ya está aquí. Y pues un gran aplauso para ella, un veliko aplauso, profesorica. She's coming from Mexico and she will talk on the ethical inclusion of AI decoded voices of biotic non-human beings in participatory interspecies design. Bienvenida, por favor.
Thank you very much for such a warm welcome. Great Spanish, by the way. Yes. So my name is Liliana del Villar, and I come from the School of Design of the National Institute of Fine Arts and Literature in Mexico, EDIMBA. And it's an honor for me to be with you this morning to present this research, which sounds a little bit of a handful, but I promise, it actually makes sense. It actually was inspired by the breakthrough advancements of AI to decode non-human animal voices, which has actually made Society 5.0 make us come closer to Dr. Dolittle's fantasy of actually being able to communicate with non-human animals, and the ethical question of what would be the implications for design if we actually have that knowledge at hand. I divided this presentation into 7 different parts. So first, where are the arrows here? Here, there you go. First, to set the scene, I will provide a definition of interspecies design, which is the field of design that was chosen for this research, followed by a brief mention of the decoding methods of AI. Of the communication systems of non-human animals. Then I will proceed into the heart of this research, which are 4 hypothetical questions and their ethical implications. First, why should we include AI-decoded voices of non-human animal species in an interspecies design project? Then, whose voice should be included into an interspecies design project? How should they be interpreted? And at which stage of the design project they should be included? Followed up by the conclusions of this presentation. So let's begin. Interspecies design, also known as modern human design, has developed in the last decade as a field of design that aims to design for and with non-human animal beings. While the for part is pretty straightforward, the with part, well, it's a little bit more challenging. And that has to do because of the concept of voice. In participatory research, voice is understood as the expression of opinions with the intent of changing the current state of affairs. It actually implies being understood by the other, who will then initiate action to improve the life or the well-being of the voicer. However, what if human and non-human co-designer cannot understand each other? How can they actually understand design together? Interspecies design projects have aimed to deduce non-human animal voices in different ways. They have attempted to use proxies, embodied role plays, empathy exercises, or also the detection of their desired capabilities, and also direct observation of their reactions to their environment, to designers, or also to other prototypes. But what if they could linguistically understand each other? In recent years, AI has made astonishing breakthroughs decoding non-human animal communication, and they have actually done so through deep learning methods and neural networks, which focus on finding hidden patterns in data. And these methods have actually been used to try to identify basic elements of language, such as phonology, morphology, syntax, or semantics in the communicative systems of non-human animals. And while we do not have yet an English dolphin translator, let's imagine a future in which that is actually possible. What would be the implications for design if we actually have that knowledge at hand? If we actually know what are the AI-decoded non-human animal voices, which understanding this concept as the opinions of non-human animals, which have been translated to human language using deep learning methods. So let's go into our first question. Why? Why should we include AI-decoded voices in an interspecies design project? The literature has recorded that there are various issues with current attempts to deduce non-human animal voices in the form of anthropomorphic interpretations of unintended coerced animal participation, lack of acknowledgement of their creative contributions, and also pseudo-participation that makes their opinions dissolve in the process. Beyond linguistic understanding, if an interspecies designer includes their voices, the AI decoded voices, in a project, they would actually be committing a political act by recognizing them as moral subject beings with agency through the acknowledgement of their capacity and competence to create and communicate their creations, their autonomy to decide upon their own lives and negotiate with the designer, their individual voices beyond species groupings, and also to give them credit for their contributions. But not everything is great, and actually this knowledge can actually come with a lot of danger for the non-human animal species, as it can put their lives at risk. So that is why there is a big responsibility for an interspecies designer to use this knowledge just if it's going to be for the benefit of the non-human animal under the principle of no harm. So let's now go into our second question. Whose AI decoded voices should be included in an interspecies design project? The first answer would be all of them. However, in reality, we have the issue of speciesism, which broadly can be understood as discrimination among species without proper justification. And in one way or another, all interspecies design projects suffer from species biases because of the moral tendency of designers to prefer certain species, while neglecting the rest without being transparent about it. And also because there's a vast number of intermingled animal life forms that actually make it impossible to include all voices in a design project. In the short run, if we were to include an AI decoded voices, maybe we could be adding a new layer of discrimination, because designers might be inclined to design with those they can linguistically understand. However, in the long run, maybe AI could actually help designers to better manage the voices of non-human animals that are currently out of reach for designers, of course, once these voices have been decoded. Let's go now to our third question. How should these voices be interpreted? Though we may be tempted for a straightforward English dolphin translator, the reality is that even among human languages, interpretation is an ethical task, and that is because it has the power of affecting the lives of those whose message is being translated. So that is why this research, drawing from public interpretation theories, proposes for potential interpretation alternatives based on the importance that is given on non-human animal values, as well as the perceived agency that is given to AI as an agent, as an interpreter, sorry. So this would be message converter, which actually aims for the greatest level of accuracy and impartiality, message clarifier, which includes a transparent description of the context of the message, cultural clarifier, which requires AI to decode not only the communication system, but also the cultural and the ethical system for a combined interpretation that could actually enhance empathy and awareness and advocacy. Which actually requires AI to be trained as well in ethical situations, so that and accountability, so that they can actually provide the best representation of the non-human animal under the duty of care. Among these four options, message clarifier and cultural clarifier could maybe provide the best guidance for a designer, because then they would actually be a better understanding of the design implications within the context and the culture of the non-human animal. And now our last hypothetical question: when? At which stage of the design process they should be included? Early interspecies design projects attempted to include non-human animal voices in the initial stages. However, they actually found various criticisms because liberal extensionist approaches that aim to explain abstract constructs to non-human animals. That is why there were callings to actually just focus on the second diamond, because here it's where prototyping occurs and whose tangibility could actually trigger an interaction with the non-human animal. This research actually follows this approach, and it actually considers that it's in this stage where AI-decoded voices should be included, because conversations, negotiations, and co-creations could actually happen at this stage. So, to sum up, this research has aimed to discuss the ethical implications of the inclusion of AI-decoded voices of non-human animals in design. It has actually tried to address the heightened new responsibilities for a designer for including these voices because of the benefits or the detriments they could actually bring to the non-human animal. Digital speciesism, putting the lives of non-human animals at risk, the potential imbalanced power relations because of the decision of the interpretation of AI decoded voices and continuous anthropomorphic interpretations are some of the risks faced by interspecies designers when deciding to include these voices. As AI continues to develop, interspecies culture and ours, the relation with design, shall continue to evolve as well. I hope that this presentation, despite its very speculative nature, has actually brought forth some issues that could maybe spark a conversation for our not so distant future. Thank you very much. I would love to listen to your thoughts.
Pues muchas gracias, ¿no? Qué innovación, ¿no? Algo nuevo. Sí, thank you so very much. Something very new, I should say. And we shall continue just going to Macedonia again. Our colleague, dear friend, is with us, Assistant Professor Abresha Ibrahimi, International Balkan University, North Macedonia. As usual, be welcome with us. We are looking forward for your contribution.
I feel like at home, so. So yeah, today I will be representative in International Balkan University, but also I am presenter of a Young Design Circle as part of World Design Organization, which Faculty of Design is active member. So this is first time that I'm showing our own project when I'm part of the group, leading group. So from a moral principles to ethical practical, the case of our concept of design oath. So what is this? We are a couple of young designers from around the world, which we want to create a design oath. Started from our own conception and sharing our own experience with the goal of design for a better world, it became very necessary to put designers in the position of asking ourselves, like, are we designing for a better world? Sharing our own experiences, we then focused on more to understand a little bit about what is the design. It is the same as yesterday. What is the challenges? How we can implement the design in today, having in mind that the process of lifestyling in design is very fast. So with a couple of research, which means a ton of research in what, how, who, when, where, why, the concept of design, we created another thing, a more challenge for us. So analyzing all the concept of design, implementing in different spheres, not just, for example, architecture and fashion designers and also others. So in general, all the fields of the design, how we can create a tool that we can use in the future. So with that, we created a concept of Young Design Circle Design Oath. What is this? So we have a purpose, we have a mission, and we have also a vision. So we're very clear. As a young designer, struggling for our methodology in teaching in our university, and after that going to current application firms, we struggle a lot how those information to implement in a real design. With that, we wanted to create something that it is very measurable. So we want to have follow some guidelines so we can design for a positive impact. This vision is driven by the conviction that ethical design is not just an option, but it is necessary. And after that, our vision is somehow to change even the culture of behavior, even the culture of the society of using those designs, and also we as a designer to have a huge responsibilities. But for that, we need to have a measurement. how to know that and how to share to the others that, yeah, our design have a full pocket of impact in now and also in the future. So we have principles. We use 9 principles, which also are divided in 3 categories: the foundation, responsibilities, and how to implement. These all principles we created according to the research that we have done, but just we are improving in the way how to measure all of them. So in the first group, we think that the good design conveys efficiency and meanings, also need to be in correlation with the business, ensure reliability, also to have a integration of systematic responsibilities, which is very important for realization of each design. We think that good design fosters systematic regeneration, promotes equitable participation, and also embrace aesthetic, harmonized creativity and innovation, and also drive system synergy. We have these principles, but we are not happy with this. How to show to the client that our design, yeah, it's really good. So we want to make a design toolkit. So this is a service as a structured guides to ensure that ethical and responsible design participate by providing a measurement metric. So we will have full package to test our design before to go in the service. So in the first category, we are measuring, we will measure the purpose. In the second one, we will measure economic context, performances of the design. Also in the second category, we will focus a little bit more for awareness of the designers, the governance measurement. After that, we will test the relationships between all the stakeholders for improving the design itself. In the third category, we will measure a little bit more materiality. We will continue of convergence, and also we will make a testing of empowerment. All of these principles, we have used different methodology. For the first one, we have a design relevances, so literary review. After that, we have analyzed all the principles of the good design that exist. And after that, we created these measurement tools. So those 3 principles and methodology are the fundamentals of the design oath. So this is the first time that I'm sharing this design oath concept in front of others. Our first phase finished, so we had this research, and after that we finished with the workshops. So with a workshop, we invited different designers and students from all around the world, sharing this information with them, and they gave it us feedback. So all this feedback, we will change and will improve the design oath, and we will present it in World Design Industrial Day, which will be held on 29th of the June, which of course will be somehow collaboration with your university. After those improvements, again, we will have the second step of the feedback, and then we will share this project and we will launch this to be applicable for all the designers around the world in the Congress of London. So let's drive the future by design. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your vivid presentation. And I hope that we were a good public presented for the first time. We were okay. Okay, thank you for your ideas, sharing your ideas with us. Y ahora, pues que me gusta mucho español, no me tomen a mal, pero voy a anunciar en español. Está con nosotros Laura Arango Zapata, de México. Laura, bienvenida. Buenos días. So I like Spanish so much that I said all this in Spanish. So School of Design of the National Institute of Fine Arts and Literature from Mexico. We are looking forward for your presentation.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Hello, good morning. My name is Laura Arango. I am Master Student Design at the School of Fine Arts in Mexico City, Edimba, and today I will present my research, Ethical Implication of the Design of Circular Economy Biomaterials Project to Promote Social Equity in the Mexican Educational Landscape, the case Olita Lab. This research is based on two main goals. The first is use the coffee ground as a circular material to improve a school environment. The second is the need to approach to process for the ethical design perspective framed by sustainability and with a focus on the global south. To achieve these goals, I proposed Lita Lab as an integrative model where a different factors intersect. These are the application context with a public school in Mexico City, a stakeholder which include a student, teacher, parents, and local coffee shop, coffee ground as a central instrument for the process, which use as base for the production of biomaterials, and its purpose which are to promote sustainable process with a school environment. All of this is constructed for the ethical perspective for the global south approach. Mexico has around 75,000 coffee shops. It's a fast-growing industry with a significant amount of coffee waste, most of which is not properly managed. Therefore, coffee grounds have a great potential for the transformation. The development of the biomaterials need is going to adjustment. It's a big composition consists on 60% of coffee ground along with cornstarch and glycerin. The goal is to use accessible materials for a school environment. Speaking of coffee, the model is named in honor of Melita Benz, a German housewife who in 1908 grew tired of finding coffee ground in her morning drinks and began experiment with different materials. After trying her son's school notebook paper, she invented the first coffee filter. That fusion between coffee and the school notebook paper brings the research to life and paves the way for the case actor in process and context. Coffee shop plays fundamental role providing used coffee ground, preventing in waste a student for the backbone of the project. The goal is for experiment with the materials, understand its process, and use to create their own furniture, an artistic expression to improve the school environment. And there is the purpose, which framed with entire intention of the project. Lita Lab aims to be model of horizontal community interaction with a substantive approach. This horizontal and solidarity-based model is built on several key principles. Connecting between actors are essential, but always from the horizontal perspective. For example, coffee shops recover coffee grounds, not an act of charity, but is an active contribution to network. Through this process, waste is revalued and the relationship with customer is become stronger, fostering awareness of circular economy. Students learn through experimentation, design with a direct impact on their environment, a development, creativity, and autonomy. This is not a charity, but initiative that empowers them to take an active role in their own transformation. Awareness of the materials, project creation, identification of the school needs, and co-design of the final school furniture are the main goal. Students learn about the biomaterials, enabling them to replicate this production and the future to fostering their autonomy and capacity of the innovation. This entire model is framed within the ethical and perspective of the global south, a fundamental approach for design Latin America, which bear the responsibility of reflecting of ontology in context. From ontology perspective development, the models imposed by the global north have homogenizing the diversity of the worldviews. The imposition of the vertical structure has promoted charity where certain community are seeing passive recipients rate that active aid with autonomy. Far from promote when vivir, approach continue dispenses and limit self-determination. I want to close with this phrase by left the problem of life on sustainability on the planet is symptom of civilization crisis. Thank you so much.
Laura, muchas gracias. Hvala lepa. Thank you so very much. So I think that our morning session is by the end, and we shall have a coffee break. Everybody invited to the hall of Mestni Muzej, and then we shall continue at 12:45. So 15 minutes, a quarter to one. And we will start with two parallel sessions. One will be in the small classroom, right, Almina? And the other one here. So we shall meet here in this conference room at quarter to one, and in the small classroom, same time. Enjoy your coffee and networking. Thank you for now, and see you at afternoon sessions.